Hello everyone and welcome back to the semi-finals of the 2020 Chessable Masters, where Nepo and Giri are brawling it out to see who will get the chance to challenge Magnus in the final. So this is the second game of their second match. First game was won by Giri, so if Giri wins the second match as well, it's game over for Nepo, and he will of course try to win the second match and then force a third one. So this is a game 2. Game 1 was a draw. Let's see what happens here. So Nepo opens with knight to f3. He goes for the Reti, and Giri replies with the d5. We have e3, knight to f6, and now c4. Challenging the center, we have e6, and now we could see a lot of ideas here. Maybe d4, just standard stuff, but here b3, preparing to fianchetto the dark square bishop. So c5 by Giri, and now comes the bishop to b2. So both players fighting for the d4 square, knight to c6, preparing d4, and here we have a trade. We have c captures, e captures, and the bishop to e2. And here, as Nepo allowed it, Giri does go for d4. And this is not new, it was played before. For example, Nakamura defeated Dingliren with bishop to b5 in this position in the 2019 Qd3 Blitz tournament in Abidjan, but here we have e captures on d4, so going for the trade, and it's still not a new position. C captures on d4 is a known move, was played in the match Daniil Dubov versus Levon Arjan in the 2018 St. Petersburg World Blitz Championship. But here we have knight captures on d4, and now it is already as of move 8 that we have a completely new game. So Giri goes to the unexplored territory, Nepo castles, and bishop to e7. Giri just prepares the castle, he doesn't mind a trade in the center. So Nepo goes for it, we have knight captures, c captures, and now bishop to f3, making it a bit difficult for black to develop the queen side due to this pawn being under attack. So here Giri just castles and rook to b8 now. Sorry, first rook to e1, of course, and then rook to b8. You cannot play twice in a row. And now preparing just b5. So here we have knight to a3, with ideas of bringing the knight over to c4. So b5, this prevents the idea. And now if you want to go knight to c2, let's say you try to go after the d4 pawn, it's not really a problem, since bishop to c5 defends it, and all is well here for black. So instead, after b5, Nepo goes queen to e2, he goes after the bishop here, and now rook to e8 just defends, and now does threaten some nasty discoveries like bishop captures on a3. So queen to d3, Nepo used this maneuver to get the queen over here to get a double attack in on the pawn, and now Giri eliminates the knight on a3, getting the attention away from the d4 pawn, so bishop captures, and now bishop to b7, offering a trade of light square bishops as well. We have rook captures on e8, queen captures, and now bishop to c5. Here Nepo could grab the pawn right away, however this allows Giri to just open up his king side with captures, and well, it is a bit of an issue now. I mean, the computer says it's okay, but if you're a human and it's a rapid game, you kind of don't want to have your structure destroyed like this in front of the enemy king. So here, bishop to c5, you can always capture it later, and now you're attacking this pawn and this pawn, so black will not be able to defend against both threats. So here Giri goes bishop captures on f3, queen captures, and now queen e5, now guarding and attacking, but now comes bishop captures on a7. So the rook is under attack, we have rook to e8, Giri now threatens queen to e1, which would result in mate after rook captures and the rook delivers mate. So h3, creating some breathing room for the king, we have h6, Giri does the same, and now, well, seems like a reasonable idea to go a4 here. a4 creates a pass pawn for white, and it of course is one of the options for white, but then black has something like d3, opens up an attack on the rook, and after the queen defends it, now you can go captures, and it's still a very nice position for white. You have a passed pawn. However, Nepo says I can do much better. So he first goes rook to c1. And we have queen to d6. Giri makes it a bit difficult for Nepo to go for any sort of a rook lift, because if you try something like this, the h2 square is still covered, rook to e1 just delivers checkmate. So instead we have bishop back to c5, pushes Giri's queen back, queen to d7, and now queen to d3, again with a double attack on the pawn here. And well, You could play something like Rook C8, try to create some pins here, but B4 just takes care of everything. You can just move the rook move the rook on the next move, and then you can either pick up this pawn or this pawn depending on what black plays. So after Queen D3, Giri goes for the very interesting knight to E4. He wants to give up this pawn but pick up the D2 pawn in the end. And the point is, if you go for the pawn right away, let's say captures, then black has the option of going just captures here. And after captures on C5, now the queen can capture on D2. So it's not as great. Like, still you get the pass pawn, captures, but Nepo is convinced he can do much better than this, even though this is also very, very nice. So instead, after knight to E4, Nepo goes bishop to B6. He says, I'm going to capture on the next move and not allow knight captures on C5. So that's how I'm going to do it. And the Giri says, okay, I'm still going to capture on D2 with the knight. So Queen D6 attacks the bishop, so forces the trade. And here, queen captures on D4. Queen captures on B5 is also a possibility, but Nepo goes for queen captures on D4 instead. We have queen captures, bishop captures, and now we get this position where it's 6 pawns against 2, which is pretty much winning for white. However, Giri decides he's gonna snatch the D2 pawn and try to survive whatever comes. However, this doesn't work. And of course, feel free to pause the video and try to figure out why it doesn't work, and have the title of the video in mind while you ponder on the position. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting which pawn push is all it takes. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's actually F3. And the point is now the knight has no escape squares. So all of the squares are covered by something, and there is no way to get the knight out of harm's way. So here, rook to E2 by Giri. He will try to do it and maybe try and do some tricks, but bishop to C3. We have king to H7. He brings the king into the game. But now there is, well, the knight is under attack. It has nowhere to go. The only thing that's left is to attack it twice, and then the game is over. And I hope none of you were considering rook c2, because if you do this, just knight captures on f3 check, loses the rook. So good job on not thinking about that. So rook to d1, this is the way to do it. You go after the knight this way, and now the knight is just trapped. So here Giri gives up the knight. For at least some pawns, G captures and rook e3. We have bishop to e1, and he picks up the f3 pawn. Now rook to d5. Nepo says, okay, you have that pawn, I'm gonna grab this guy, and the two connected pass pawns plus the bishop are more than enough for a victory. So rook to e3, he goes after the bishop, king f1. We have rook to f3 with check, but now bishop to f2. And now again, he doesn't want to give up the b4 pawn, so Giri pushes it, but now rook to d4. Nepo goes after it, so now we have captures on h3, captures on b4, and now g5. Well, now Giri, of course, is also ready to push his pass pawns, but Nepo's pass pawns are much faster. So just a4, and here Giri played rook to h1 check, but here, of course, Nepo doesn't move the king and allow something like rook to a1. Instead, he just goes rook to g1, and it was in this position on move 39 that Anish Giri resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You're down a whole piece, and there's just nothing you can do about this. And this is only game 2, so if it was game 4, maybe Giri would try to, you know, play it out all the way. However, it's only game 2, and Giri resigned. However, game 3 and 4 were also drawn, which means that Nepo wins match 2, and we will definitely have a match 3. So Giri won the first match, Nepo won the second match, and now today we are going to have the third match, which we are also going to cover to see who will face Magnus Carlsen in the finals. So yeah. That's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Elvis Marrero, Russell Azad Khan, Zachary Wolf, Chris Picard, and Michael Hildebrand for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the 2020 Chessable Masters, checking up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.